welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I am Alqamar.
And I am Hanifah.
And we're your hosts each and every week, where we come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our lives. And we are running right into part 2 of When the Smoke Clears. The war between the black man and the woman, and what the aftermath of this war looks like. What does it look like when everything is, all the demolishing is done and the rubble is just laid flat on the ground? And where do we go from here? So in the studio with us today, we have some assistants from the male perspective. Brother Edward X.
Oh, Lord.
Who is no stranger to the Empower Hour, because you've been on our program several times before. Thank you so much for joining us again. Yet again.
Always a pleasure.
Yes. So we definitely wanted to bring somebody on that could kind of talk to us in layman's terms about what the brothers are feeling. What are you guys, what is it, Hanifah and I can pretty much tackle the female perspective fairly well, if I say so myself. So, of course we're not men, so we can't come from the perspective of a man as it relates to the divisions, the great divide that's currently taking place between us. So we wanted you on to kind of, share those perspectives.
Okay.
You up for that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Hanifah, you want me to?
No, you can start.
Okay.
Hi, Edward. Welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
And if you guys are watching on our social media streams, thank you so much for joining in. These are our backup shots. So if you want to see the professional, the most professional shots, you want to go to eLife Media.
Right. eLife Media Group.
eLife Media Group on Facebook right now, and you can capture us there as well.
Also, if you're tuning in and you're watching this live right now, we're not taking calls, but we can see your questions. So if you put your questions in the comment section, we will try to get to them at some point during the segment.
You said we was taking calls?
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
I missed that part. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah, we can take calls today at 240-455-5934. Brother Ed.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your perspective as it relates to these challenges? Why do you think? What is the root of what's going on in our communities? Why are we so at odds with each other, you think?
I think that the first thing is that all of us suffer from trauma, individual trauma. So we have individual trauma and collective trauma. And no one is focusing on developing self. Everyone is focusing on developing the other person. So the black woman, she already have in her mind the ideal husband. She already have in her mind what's a good man. And so when she meet a brother, she wants to mold and shape him into somebody else.
Where does the idea of a man and so forth come from?
I don't know. I can't answer that. But I'm saying, but the man, we have the same problem. Like we had this idea of the perfect woman, right? And so when we meet a sister, we try to mold her like she clay or putty into this idea, not taking into consideration her upbringing, the things she's experienced in life, or nothing. We trying to shape and mold each other, and no one is working on self. So in that process, or in those processes, we begin to attack each other. Find fault in each other, pull the rug from under each other foot. And as we get older and older and older and experience that over and over and over again, we become bitter, hostile, our view becomes negative.
Short-tempered.
Right. But it's trauma. And it's trauma that we haven't addressed. We all suffer from white supremacy. And by not addressing white supremacy, the black man is a coward. You're not going to address white supremacy, because if you address it, then you're going to have to do something about it. So we know you're not going to do nothing about it. We got 500 years of evidence. You're not going to do nothing.
Why is that so difficult for people to accept, though? A lot in our community, you'll get a lot of pushback on saying, "Oh, you stop blaming the white man for all our problems." Why do you think there's such a pushback from what you just described and linking that to oppression?
Well, we're going to have to tie it to white supremacy because it originates with our interaction with white people after the transatlantic slave trade. If you look at the transatlantic slave trade, right, and you look at black male-female relationships prior to slavery,
okay,
and you look at how we lived prior to slavery, right, and then you look at the dysfunctionalities that exist in our community, you would have to agree that these dysfunctionalities have their origin in slavery with white supremacy. And so you have to address that if you're serious about correcting the problems that exist. You can't go and try to better yourself and not take into consideration the real problems that exist.
Right. So I'm hearing that neither side is willing to like accept accountability, and so it's like, and I see that a lot. You know, I'm on social media a lot, and whenever there is, if someone of the opposite sex attempting to challenge some viewpoints from, like, if a man is saying something about a woman that may not be, you know, peaches and cream, you always get pushback, and vice versa. If a woman says a man says something about a man that, you know, could in the form of correction, you always get pushback from the man, even if it's true.
Right.
Even if it's true. So, tell me how detrimental is that when, if somebody is trying to tell you something in the form of love and correction, and you can't receive that because the first thought that comes in your mind is, well, women do the same thing, or, you know what I'm saying? So what comes of that? How does that help the situation, or does it?
Ask the question again. Ask it a different way.
When we are unable, for whatever reason, to accept constructive criticism from the opposite sex, how does that affect our relationships?
I don't think that we can accept constructive criticism from anyone, not just the opposite sex. I think we are arrogant in our ignorance, and the evidence of our arrogance is the condition of our community. If you look in Ward 8, 88 to 90% of the households are headed by black women, right?
Ward 8 is in
Southeast
Washington,
Southeast Washington, D.C.
The poorest community in D.C.
Right, the hardest affected.
Okay.
And
poverty, I should say.
right. So when you look at Ward 8 and those statistics, that data, that means for every 10 houses, only one house got a man in it.
Wow.
88% or 90%, that's one left. So every 10 houses you see, only one have a man in it, according to the data, according to the statistics. So this alone, with this 90% statistic, it says that the black woman is single. She's by herself. So your way doesn't work. The way you've been doing it, it does not. That's why you're single. That mouth, that swag, that attitude, it does not work. So if you're gonna stick to your guns and just ride it out until we die, it doesn't work. And the way black men have been doing it, it doesn't work. And so at some point, we have to mature and become sophisticated enough to say, my way doesn't work and your way doesn't work. And your way is a result, and it evolved and developed from white supremacy. And my way evolved and developed from white supremacy, right? Which is a doctrine that hate both of us.
I feel like as a people, when you were having this conversation as far as black men and black women, I personally feel like each have to talk amongst themselves individually. It's very, very important that happens, because we cannot hate each other because of trauma and the divisiveness that have exist among us in general. This is just history in itself. But one of the things that I do realize with us, you mentioned we don't take criticism, period, because when Alqamar was asking the question, the first thing that came to my mind is when we try to have a conversation just about our own trauma and how it's affecting us and, you know, dysfunctionalities that we have, it's always, well, the white people do it too. And I'm like, and that bothers me because I feel like it's such a deflection from what we're really trying to do. I feel like it's inviting people to the table that have no business there. And it happens where you're talking about men, and you say this about men. A woman always, a man will come in and say, but women too. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about women, specifically black women, you'll always say, but black men too. And I'm like, and that's okay. We know that. Mm-hmm. But that's not the conversation we're having right now. Right. And actually, I'm thinking, my question to you is, how do we get ourselves to an emotionally intelligent place to where we can do both? We can acknowledge that yes, our men have issues, right, but we're here to heal ours right now. How do we get there?
I think by acknowledging that you as an individual are messed up. Recently I took a trauma training, and in that trauma training we were learning about clients, right? And we were going through the list of things that people experience in inner city America, right? Mm-hmm. And I fit every criteria of my clients. Mm. Everything that I was looking at dealing with my clients, it fit me. Mm. And so I told my executive director, man, I need a therapist. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, everybody here need a therapist. And that made me just look at life different. As a 46-year-old black man, as a conscious black man, I probably read more books than most of my peers, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been exposed to some information. I've been exposed to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton. You run the list. I'm kind of in the know. And this information hit me so hard. I mean, as a conscious person, it made me to realize that if I'm, as a conscious person, suffers and am internally messed up, can you imagine a person that never read nothing? Right. Mm. Can you imagine a person that never watched the DVD or never listened to the Empower app? Nothing? They don't know nothing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how do we, with this information that you're sharing, where you're saying we are all traumatized, whether individually or collectively, how should we be approaching relationships then? Because if we understand that the black man is traumatized, and the black man is my preference and always will be, and that's it. I'm not looking for any other type of man, right? So my focus is the black man. So if I understand that the black man is traumatized, and I'm a black woman who is traumatized as well, whether directly or indirectly, because there is indirect trauma. We don't talk about that enough, where nothing could have happened in your household, but you grew up in a neighborhood where it was just gunshots all the time. Like it does something, and then you be getting into triggers and all of those things. But knowing that, having that understanding, when we get together as being each other's preferences, how should we be approaching relationships with each other? With
patience, with an understanding, practicing self-love, understanding that you're practicing self-love, I'm practicing self-love, and hopefully that my self-love meet your self-love, and they can become complementary. And where we know that I'm not trying to step on your feet, and you're not trying to step on my feet, and I have a role and a responsibility to you, and you have a role and a responsibility to me, and then in that we become complementary in our walk.
Yeah, I think I was explaining to you the other day that the book, Dr. Joy DeGruy book, the post-traumatic slave disorder, and that book opened my eyes to a lot of what we're dealing with as it relates to trauma, and because she broke it down in such easy to understand terms of because a lot of times people hear these conversations, but it don't register in them that ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That would be the outcome, not realizing that we all suffer from trauma. Even if you don't even recognize it within yourself, it's still there, So I think that reading, works from you know, from psychiatrists and scholars such as her is helpful to the individual to better understand themselves and what they're dealing with. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Trauma, I just learned this recently, that trauma makes you stuck.
Explain.
In your experience, like me being a violence prevention specialist, working with young people, that trauma of losing a homie, or losing a brother or your cousin, and not addressing it, like they stuck in the hood. Like before you can address that, before you can try to get them a job or transition into something else, you got to address just simple stuff that the trauma has them stuck on. You be like, what's wrong with him?
So you as a 40-year-old woman think that you are dealing with a 40-year-old man, but you're dealing with a 40-year-old body with that a 16-year-old is occupying, because they're stuck. Not in every way though, because in some ways they can function as a 40-year-old. But then there are those things that you will see and be like, what is that? You know, and you wanna, it drives you crazy.
Right.
What you don't realize is that, no, that's that 16-year-old child in that person that's stuck. Trauma does it because it does something. Well, go ahead to the brain function.
And that made me realize the how traumatized I am as an individual. And I'm going to confess to something. We were in training last month, and a lot of black women been molested. Right, your uncle touched you, your cousin touched you. In some instances, your father or your mother boyfriend touched you, and you never told nobody. 1 in 3. You might have told your cousin or your aunt or your sister, but you held that, right? And in your mind, you okay. There's nothing wrong with you, but you're not okay, right? And so you take that and then you bring it to a relationship, and then the brother, in many instances, I was talking to you about this recently. I said this in my trauma training. I was molested when I was young by a woman. I got to put that out there because you know them Negroes will twist that piece. I was molested by a woman twice. And when I said that in trauma training, I didn't feel, when it happened, I didn't feel violated. I liked it. I was with it. She was a grown woman. I understood she was grown and I was a little boy.
How old were you?
8.
Oh, okay.
It happened twice, 8 and 11. And so when it happened, I told my sister. But I said, you can't tell nobody. Don't tell mom. And I was with it, but recently I revealed that in my trauma training. And when I revealed it, another brother said, man, that happened to me too. Then another brother, me too. And I was like, wow. So our instructor said, because y'all are men and we live in a male-dominated society, we think that that's cool. And we think that we are unaffected by it as men. Because you don't see yourself as being victimized.
That's what I was going to ask you. That was been my next question. That how much is the patriarchal structure, because you hear black women say this a lot, that we are oppressed by black men, which I do not completely agree with, but how much does patriarchy just in this society and the patriarchal structure that exists in this society, how much does that play a part in how our black men show up in relationships, or how our black men may treat their women? I think because that's still connected to white supremacy as well.
I think that the music we listen to, the food we eat, the things we watch on TV, the things we just ingest and consume, it shapes us, right? And being in a patriarchal society, I believe in equality, right? I'm really beginning to learn how to emphasize equality, because I think the black man that we today in 2020, we haven't lived up to our full potential, right? And we mistreated our women, and because we haven't risen to the occasion, I think we just take it as a cop out and just start to play games. Find a way to maneuver and just use sex as a tool to get a bunch of sisters where you don't have no responsibilities, because it's like you have to do that, because if you do it the other way or the right way, you're gonna have to stand up and be responsible. And so people oftentimes don't want to be responsible. one of the things Brother Jahar always talk about is being responsibility, personal responsibility, accountability.
If you're just joining us, this is the Empower Hour. We are talking about the war between the black man and the woman. And we're here with Brother Edward X, helping us to break it down from a man's perspective. I want to bring the audience in. Curtis says it's happened to him, talking about the molestation. It happened to me too. I enjoyed the molestation at age 9. I wasn't being victimized. I was being taught to be a man.
Wow.
And that's like story after story,
right?
After story after story.
But prior to a month ago, I never even thought about that. I never even had that idea that I was victimized. And
how do you think that affected your life? Now that you know, and now looking back, and I know you can break it down for us.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I'm just curious.
This is too common. I'm sorry. I'm having a reaction because when we talk about, I'm sorry if I'm tearing up a little bit, but when we talk about molestation in the black community, we are so quick as women to like completely psychoanalyze and destroy our men, because it's all about, well, this is happening on a larger scale because our men are not protecting us. But this is happening. There are black women touching boys. I know of men. I know, and it does something to them. It does affect their perception of sex. Yes. It does affect how they see themselves and their manhood being just from here down. All of that plays a part in it, but we don't discuss it enough. Yeah. And it hurts me because when you really get to the bottom of it and you talk to some of these brothers, you realize that it started there. Yeah. And then when they told someone, no one felt that they needed protection either. It's the same story that you hear from women who were once little girls. Yeah. The stories are no different. The issue is the context in which, or the society in which it's happening, protects protects the abuser of little boys, because it's a patriarchal society. So in other words, it is not as damaging because you find yourself occupying a male body. It's a little different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But is it really? And that's kind of what we got to get to the bottom of, which is what you're asking, Edward, how it affect. I'm sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
That's what I wanted you to do.
Right.
Write that down like you do so well. Can you, looking back, can you pinpoint?
I don't think that I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm smart enough to like go back and see the effects that had on me. Okay. And I psychologically, I don't think I'm smart enough or equipped with the information to like
to connect the dots.
Right.
Like if
But I'm not against the information that it did affect me.
Right. Right. And it's interesting. Thank you so much, Hanifah, again for breaking that down for us, because it's like you said, it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to address.
It's not important because we've been told it's not important. It's divide and conquer. That is exactly what media does with the black man and the black woman. It's divide and conquer. They tell us the black man's issues is not that important because the black men do not care about us and they don't protect us and they don't love us. And this is why we're going to constantly show you the black man. We're going to shove in your face every day the black man with another race of woman, because this is what they really think about you. We're going to make sure that you see the comments that a small percentage of black men have to say about black women, and we take that and we run with it. And we form little circles and little cliques around it. You know what I'm saying? Little feminist circles and cliques, and now it becomes a thing of, okay, well, we're going to fight back. And then it's just a lot of separation. Right. And because we don't know war tactics and we don't understand them, we fall for it every single time. If you have a black man, you are to protect that black man as a black woman. That's right. Period. Period. I don't care what you feel about his faults. Unless he's abusing you and beating you, you need to leave if that's happening. But if not, if that man just has simple human flaws, what has happened is our black men have been dehumanized to the point where they can't even be human. Because when they're human, we take their low human qualities and we exaggerate. What?
Blow them up.
Like this, black men's mistakes are just different. Right. You know what I mean? But if you have a black man, we are to protect our black men. We are to protect our black men. They're there, they exist, and they need protection and they need our love. They don't need to be beaten down anymore.
Yeah, and we just got finished explaining the challenges that we suffer from that no
Last
other people
week,
do.
exactly.
You know, and so it's not, you can't come looking for our brothers and sisters to be in the type of shape that other cultures are that have never suffered through what we suffered through. But that goes into one of my questions. Is there a deliberate attempt to keep us divided?
Absolutely. Absolutely, there is. One day I was listening to T.D. Jakes.
Okay.
Yes, I listened to T.D. Jakes.
That's what I admire about you.
I was
so well-rounded.
I was listening to T.D. Jakes, and he was talking to some sisters. He had all sisters, and they was complaining about the black man. The brothers ain't doing his brother. So he was like, you know, you love your son, don't you? And the sister was like, yeah. Like, you wouldn't put nobody before your son, would you? Absolutely not. He said, do you know your man come from a mother just like that? He come from a woman that love him and don't put nobody before him, just like you do with your son. And then he come up with you. You ain't equal to his mother. All you do is put him down. He leave his mother. You say, oh, he want to be a mother. I ain't ready to be another mother. Yeah, but he leave his mother's love. You know how you are with your son? I want you to personalize it. Think about your son. Personalize it. How no matter what he going through, he can always come back to mama. Right? You don't like that when it's your man. You don't like that.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
But this is this type of stock that most black men come from. Yeah. And then you got you.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Are you finding that, because I know we talked about this, that last week we were mentioning that a lot of the sisters we're noticing are trying to like get on the path towards healing. You're seeing a lot of that happening. Are you noticing that with black men more and more, or are you thinking that black men have a long? I
can't really answer that because I take trauma training and it's other brothers in the training.
Okay, so that's a start.
Right, but it's employment. Okay. So I don't know, had it not been employment, would they be doing it? Would they be engaged in that type of study?
Okay.
Yeah. So we oftentimes hear a lot about men being abusers, which that is true. There's men that abuse women, but we rarely hear about the women who abuse the men, specifically verbally. You know, in the tongue, because it's like the power of the tongue with us.
I've been through that.
And again, falling back on the wisdom of Hanifah, at one point you were sharing how our greatest weapon is our tongue as women. And so, but we put the mom on this pedestal that could do no wrong.
The black mother is infallible.
That could do
she
no wrong.
She is untouchable.
And in the meantime, and in between time, you have some of these black women that are toxic, really doing some destructive things.
Absolutely.
To the men. But we don't never talk about that.
Yeah.
So, have you experienced that in your own?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have definitely experienced that. And I still experience that. Like, I have a son and a daughter. So I try my son mother and my daughter mother. I try my best. I pray about this. Like, it's like one of my visions that I hope that one day we'll just have harmony. When I call, because it's like we are at a place. I always tell them, we are at a place that when I agree with you, I'm the best father in the world. I'm the most positive black man you know. Keep on doing it. I love what you're doing. I love you. I ain't against you. All that, right? But say no, or say I ain't got it. Can you go do? I got something to do. I already had something to do. You ain't nothing. You know, so I get it. I definitely have experienced that, and that's one of my goals, to get past that. And for me personally, I often learn from other people, like about myself. I have a brother. He's not my biological brother, but he has some domestic issues. And I was called to be like the mediator because I'm like in my community I'm like Farrakhan in the hood. So they like we want you to sit down and talk, and I'm like I got my own issues, but nevertheless sitting down with my brother and his son mother, it made me look at myself. It made me, do I come off like this? Have I ever? Because I'm like, Negro, you are so ignorant. I can't believe you talk to women like this. This your son mother. Nothing she can say or do should make you flare up like that. But as I'm talking to him, I'm having episodes. I'm thinking back, man, you done jive, you know, slipped and, you know, I've done that before. And so that made me look at myself. I was listening to a sister, Sister Nefertari, on YouTube, Irritated Genie's X. And that had the same effect on me as if she was talking to me or about me. And it made me look at myself. I wasn't looking at the brother. Right. I was thinking about him in terms of wanting to call him and like say some nice words to him. Even though we've had issues about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's still a black man. You know what I'm saying? He still suffers. All of us suffer. And I wanted to give him some encouraging words. I didn't want to kick him while he was there. That's the initial thought, but that's that white supremacy right here. Right? So, for real. So, it just made me realize we messed up as a people, and it made me like we got to strive harder to get through it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you.
We have a call?
We have a caller on the line. Caller, are you? Oh, he's gone. Okay, they hung up. So if you wanted to give us a call, 240-455-5934 is the call-in number.
One of the you just touched on something. One of the my ex-husband was just telling me this the other day because he's seeing it on his end as well. But he was saying, he was just saying to me, you know, we really do good by our son. And he was just like, because people are really struggling to co-parent out here. Like, it's a real struggle. Yeah. And even though, you know me, I'd be like, I can't relate to that. I don't know, what is that? Why can't y'all get along? You know what I mean? But one of the most damaging things to children that I'm seeing is that co-parenting thing. It's almost like you lie down with this person, you have this child, and I'm talking about people even who were married for years and then split. I'm not talking about y'all had a little situation and then, you know, this permit. No, I'm talking about people who've been together spent time together, years, and then they split and they cannot get along. So for me, I'm just like, what happens during that time when you split? And maybe you could speak to this. Like, what is happening when we split that is causing us to not be able to co-parent?
Well, in my case with my daughter's mom, I think it's a third party.
Okay.
Like, she has a boyfriend.
Okay.
And her boyfriend, I think she goes out of her way to let her boyfriend know that there's nothing
between y'all.
Right.
Okay.
And so in so doing, you will rub me wrong just to prove a point with him. And in so doing, you make me turn up on him. Yeah, I definitely would turn up on you. So it brings out the worst in you.
Okay, that's the one incident. I want to come back to that because that was one of my questions too. But we want to get this caller in with us too. Caller, are you there? Caller, are you on the line? Can you hear us? Okay, but while we getting that worked out,
Hello.
Okay, we hear you now. Hello.
Yes.
Oh, great, we can hear you now.
Let us know where you're calling from and what's your question or your comment.
Caller, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead, you're on air.
Yes, I'm calling from Geneva, Switzerland.
Whoa.
Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes, I'm calling from Geneva, Switzerland.
Yes. Yes, sir. Would you want to share something
Yes,
with us?
Yes, and okay. One thing which I have always observed about our Yeah, something which I've observed with our black community is first we need to establish a good communication between us, ourselves first.
That's right.
Let's learn the language of love. How do we communicate with one another? How do we communicate with our sisters, with our brothers? Right from home. What attitudes do we with that or comment stuff which is not good about ourselves? So what I know, or according to the Swahili proverb, it says that everything good starts from home, and everything good starts with our tongue. If we can be able to learn to communicate, when you love somebody, there is no way you are going to raise a voice to him or her. You have to lower it down. So that is okay. Personally, I'm from Kenya, and I'm lucky that I was brought up with, of course, as by a community. So we know the values and the importance of communication.
That's good.
Let's learn that our skin differentiates us from the rest of the world.
Yes. Well, good. Thank you so much.
When anybody, even if you are American, you are Swedish, you are European.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for the call. I think we got the gist of what he's saying. He's
communication
from Kenya by way of Switzerland.
Yes.
And he was saying that he grows up in the community. That's how he grew up, and they respected and communicated well, and all that good stuff. But that's the dichotomy. That's the difference in culture.
Right.
You know, in culture. So here we are in America,
Being bombarded with negative images. When you listen to the music, all of the songs, men ain't no good, don't mess with him, leave him alone, cheat on him first, right? That's what the song's pumping in your subconscious mind.
and then on the women's side, bees ain't
they ain't nothing.
hoes and
Yeah. So
bees ain't loyal, they ain't loyal,
right.
all that.
So we've been bombarded with those type, and then now
Housewives on TV,
love and hip hop, like it's like now in the inner city, you got instances where women are cheating on men, like how the men used to do. Now the women are doing it.
Very much so. Yep.
And not only is it not frowned upon, the sister girl, her best friend gonna high five her, get him first, and they make all type of social media memes that glorify dysfunctionality. And so when you normalize that type of treatment, right? So you got a new generation of young black men and young black women with no values.
Yeah, that's all they know.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
And so
Yeah,
you see where we're headed.
We had another caller. We have another caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
You guys know we've been listening to young black women.
Okay, we're trying to get you the volume. Are you there? Can you hear us? Caller?
Oh, we can hear her. She's saying hello. Are you there?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, caller. Can you tell us where you're calling from and what's your comment?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Turn wherever your volume down on where you're watching us and just listen through your phone.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to keep moving because if you can hear us, you might want to call back without the volume on where you're watching us from. I'm hearing the self-work, and we don't have a lot of time left. What does that look like? What does it look like to work on yourself, to go through, if they're watching and they can clearly see that there's some things within themselves that need addressing, what would be your advice to start down that road of healing?
just being intentional. You know how you drink water? You intentionally drink water. You intentionally work out. You intentionally just be intentional in your everyday behavior. It's like I'm intentional right now in practicing self-love. I'm intentional about growth. I'm intentional about being a better me. I'm not focused on anyone else. I'm focused on myself.
So my last question is this. So there's a lot of damage that's done on us as black people, right? Collectively, individually, right? And so when you hear a black man or a black woman say that they're done with black men or black women, and I mean, can you fault them considering the damage that has been done to
You
us?
can't fault them in terms of their ignorance.
Okay.
They ignorant. To make a statement like that,
Okay.
you have to be ignorant, so you can't fault them for that. But
Why ignorant and not hurt?
well, it could be a combination of both, because the black man and the black woman is the best. And for you to say for a black man to say I don't want no black woman,
The second half of himself.
right? Something wrong with this Negro.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. What if the second half of himself, really think, you just explained that like 80-90% of the households in the, Ward 8 alone is, okay. So you have some black men, we talked about abuse
Right.
at the hands of who? Black women.
Right.
Okay? Now you just talk about sexual abuse. There's so many other abuses that take place at the hands of black women. I'm talking about verbal abuse, where boys are emasculated from a very, very young age. So they're dealing with all of that. Now they become adults, okay? And now they're dealing with more damaged black women. So they get to a point, and this is the story of black women too, who I've been violated by black men. I don't feel protected. We hear this all the time by black men. My uncles, my father, nobody ever showed up. All they did was violated me. And now you get to a point, you're in your 40s, and you've dated several, and you've probably been married a couple of times maybe as a black woman, and you're to a point now where you're just like, I don't want to have anything to do with them right now. You know what I mean? Why is it that we can't really understand them, that maybe that's their pain talking versus just writing it off as ignorance? Why can't we just look at it and see it for what it really is, which is they're hurt?
It could be a combination of both.
Okay.
Right? I have made statements like that before, but not... I have said I'm not messing with no more black women.
Really?
No, let me. Finish.
Okay, I can't see that. That's
Don't
why.
cut that. No more black women from America.
Still.
Okay.
I can't see
I
that.
said my wife gonna be an Ethiopian black woman.
Wow. Okay.
But what about you? I mean, 'cause it's like how do you do that?
That was just talking. I was just talking.
Okay.
That was pain.
Okay.
That was
That was pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that, for me, that sounds like it's coming from a place of somebody who's not doing the self-work.
Right.
Because if you understood that, you know what I'm saying, the work that you do on yourself, you automatically begin to attract others who do the work on themselves.
That's definitely true. That's definitely
true. You
true.
know, we attract who we are. We don't like to hear that, especially if we go through relationship after relationship after relationship of just being dogged out and stuff. And you know, we don't understand and recognize how universal law is you attract who you are. There's something within you that's magnetism, that's magnifying whatever it is that's coming your way.
I agree with that. And at 46 years old, I can say with honesty, I feel like a child in terms of learning. I'm talking about a literal baby. Like when you think you know stuff, and I'm talking about when you've been blessed with some information, like I can read and write 7 languages.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I still feel like a child in terms of learning how to live. And my approach is, my mother didn't know how to live, my father didn't know how to live. Who taught them? Their mother and father. Why am I gonna take an emotional position because it's my grandmother and grandfather? They ain't had knowledge themselves.
Good teacher.
Right?
Right.
And where they get their information from? Their mother and father.
Who didn't have it.
Who didn't have it. And where they get it from.
Right.
And if you keep on going, you're going to end up on a plantation.
Come on.
And on a plantation, then you're going to see where these cultural norms come from.
Come on.
And then you're going to see the original intentions
Yeah.
of why they put us in these type of situations.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think that if we continue to fall in love with self,
Yeah.
it's like a dirty water just running. It's gonna clean itself. It's gonna purify itself to keep on running.
And getting the history is so important, because that way you don't feel so bad about it then, because you understand it. You're like, okay, well now I understand why I'm the way I am.
Right.
Because of this, that. Versus you not understanding it, now you're on defense mode. You're angry all the time. You blocking, you defending, because you don't understand what it is.
It's gonna come out.
That's happening. Oh, I didn't even get into, oh my God, I really want to touch on how mass incarceration and the felony conviction with men, and how that relates to the dynamic with the pay rate between men and women. You know, now we got this whole new genre of women who making all kind of money more than men, and they a bum, I got mine, you know what I'm saying, but we don't put into context. That's right. How we wind
context
up
is key
in this predicament. But maybe I'll save that for another show. Wow. Well, we're running out of time, family. We're definitely going to have you back on really soon to do this again. And stay tuned, because next week, you want to tell them about next week?
Oh, yes. We're going to be talking about sex. So tune in. Hot topic. Yeah.
You're not going to want to miss this one next week. So chime in. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe buttons for us on Facebook as well as YouTube. And take care of each other out there. And share the information. You never know who's on the other side that need this information right here, right now. So please share. Take care of each other. Peace.